when I think of the great speeches of political history, one of my favorite quotes is actually from a Democrat, is that we have nothing to fear but fear itself. So I hate to talk about fear or anything like that. But we need to tell Americans what Reagan said was right, that it's each of our responsibility to bring home the ideals we cherish. And that means getting out and talking face to face. It means new apps. It means short videos. But I think face-to-face is the key. I think it's going to your neighbor's house a couple days before caucus night and saying, hey, I need you to come. I think it's making sure they understand that that's how they get involved, that they get involved by mailing in their ballot. I mean, how long does it take you to do your ballot? 1 minute? We need to make sure everyone does that.
All right, next question is, how will you handle working with people who strongly disagree with you?
I often laugh and tell people that by Monday morning at 11 a.m. I've had 2 or 3 lawyers that I'm up against call me and tell me I'm an idiot and they don't like me. So this is pretty much what I do for a living. I think there's a couple things when people are in strong disagreement that you can do that help. Number one is get rid of the audience. If you want to solve a dispute, get the people who are leading the dispute or who are at each other's throats, get them out, get them away from an audience. Make them tell their story face-to-face to the other person with no one there. Make them talk about it. I think you do that. And if you can't figure out from that meeting how to work it out, then you go, and this is politics, you vote. And if you vote and you lose the vote, you move on. And if you win the vote, you move on. You don't spike the football. You know, ultimately, we're all on the same team here. Take the vote, find the resolution, and move on. You can't look to the past and dwell on injuries or issues that took place 5 years ago. Votes don't take place in the past. Votes take place in the future, and that's how you get rid of issues.
Yeah, we've got a couple of attorneys up here running for party chair, and we have a lot of experience with dispute resolution and bringing people to the same page and trying to get past some of the conflict. It's what I've done all of my life, all of my career, and a lot of my private service as well. You know, I served as president of the Rotary Club, bringing people together for common causes. I've been a city council member in a very divided city where I helped save over $10 million of taxpayer resources on a bond issue that was blood in the streets, battles, war zone for 5 years before we reached a compromise. And today, this afternoon, after this very meeting, I'll be heading off to a ribbon-cutting event for our new police dispatch and court system buildings. So you can achieve successes by having the skill set and bringing people in that know how to be inclusive, know how to involve different perspectives, know how to be respectful regardless of how other people choose to engage in the process, know how to keep things moving forward, getting the work of the party done. That's the pledge and promise and background that I will bring to our Republican Party.
All right. We're going to ask one more question, and then we're going to do a poll. The question here is, what are the greatest challenges to the party, to the county party specifically?
So we've talked about a little bit about some of them already, you know, that comment about apathy and seeing the participation levels at our various precincts, you know, being able to get people motivated, encouraged, inspired by the way our convention meetings occur so that we can see the value and the benefit of free markets, free enterprise, the solutions and the innovations that come from Republican principles and conservative values for our families and our neighborhoods. That makes a huge difference, and we need to help people feel that in their soul. We need to help them sense that, see it, and bring it to their caucuses and bring it to their neighborhoods and talk to people who aren't registered as Republicans so we can bring the ones that are registered to be involved and we can get new people registered. We need to improve training. We need to improve communication on every level so that everybody is aware of all the opportunities that there are to contribute. And we need to empower people. We need to help folks realize that they have ways that they can be directly involved and give of themselves. It's a sacrifice to be involved, but it's an important work that we are doing, and those are the challenges we can succeed at.
I think the biggest challenge is the divisiveness and the unwelcome feeling that many of our fellow party members feel when they go to caucus night or when they go to a Republican event. I think they need to feel that this is a big tent party, that this is a party that welcomes all. And yes, there may be disagreements from those on the extreme right to from those more in the middle. But the reality is that they need to hear each other out. They need to accept the differences, and they need to move on. And that's just the reality. If we allow the divisiveness to continue, if we allow people to be intimidated at caucus meeting, and I've heard many, many people tell me they feel intimidated, which is troubling in so many ways, we're going to continue to have problems, because that's what drives apathy. And what I'll do to solve that is welcome people, we'll put out our message, and we'll bring people together to win elections. I hate to say it over and over again, but that's what this is about.
All right, thank you for that. What we're going to do is turn on the poll questions right now. I'm not sure how many we have here, but let's see. Looks like there's just 2. They're working on a 3rd one. Okay. That should be activated, but it should have a 3rd question on there. So please fill in the survey if you switch to your poll side. Once those survey questions start getting answered, they will populate. You've already got 54 votes on this one. Those are live. They change as you put your votes in, and we get that feedback immediately from you. The first poll question, just so those who can't see it will know. And if you're live on Facebook, you can actually participate by going to Slido or soido.com and entering UCRP as the event. We'll leave that open for a while. So in regards to the current election law, what is your top preference? And you can see those populating in. I'm going to switch to the other one for viewing on the screen here, and that is, should the party ask delegates for donations to pay for meetings? 57 responses currently on that, and you can see 61% say yes. And so I don't actually see the first one or the 3rd one. So is that a separate question on the polls? All right.
It was up on the screen. There it is.
It didn't show up.
It doesn't show up on your phone.
All right. So what I'm going to do is
So I can't get them in now.
okay. Good. So answer those. Those are for feedback for us. We'll look more at that one later. Leave that poll open. I need to go back to the questions, but those who are helping to moderate in the background, if we can keep that, we can continue to answer, that would be great. All right. The next question on the question side is, what is your opinion, and we've kind of already answered this, so if you want to pass and both of you agree to that, we can do that. What is your opinion on SB 54 after living under it for the last 5 years?
Yeah, I think we can pass that one.
Okay. Next question is, how can the work of the committee and chair be more accessible and accountable to the delegates at large? By the way, just so that you know, right now on the Google Drive of the party, all the minutes of all the meetings of this executive committee and of the Central Committee and the Steering Committee are transparent on the Google Drive to the next level down. I ran on that principle, which means that the Steering Committee, our minutes that we have from our meeting are accessible to the Executive Committee. The Executive Committee is available to the Central Committee, and our Central Committee meetings are usually published on the website at the next meeting so that you can see those minutes. And anybody that wants access to those in the Central Committee can get those. Unfortunately, technology hasn't caught up with the party's need for 600 people to see that, so it's not able to be shared in a secure way, but it's available upon request. But for the first time, it's all electronic, and it's all on there. The agenda and the minutes and everything we do is uploaded to that. The attendance at Central Committee meetings are uploaded. So we have that. We're trying to make sure that everything is on there so that when I transition and the secretary and everyone to the next leader, they have all that information. They also get my email, chair@ucrp.org. It becomes their email, and they still have that history. So that transparency is there, at least among those committees. We have a couple committees we're still struggling to get them to share, but so with that preface, you can go ahead and continue to answer that any way you like.
Okay. I think it's me, right? I can't remember. I think two things, or I think three things, actually. Number one, I think that getting the minutes and the agendas up onto some sort of PDF link on the web page, at least for the first 60 to 90 days after the, well, I guess 90 days, the first 90 days after the meeting would be imperative. To get the agenda up, you know, as early as it's ready, and to have the minutes from the last meeting up for 90 days afterwards, and you can click on it. Number two is, you know, if it's just a PDF of the minutes, send that out to all the delegates. I think the most important thing, though, is for the delegates to call the members of the county central committee meeting or email them and ask them what happened. Number one, and make sure they go to the meeting, which is the most important role they have, is to go to that meeting. So send them an email. What happened? What did you learn? What did you like? What did you not like? What do I need to be aware of? In other words, reach out and put the pressure on the people that are supposed to be at those meetings to be accountable. Get your information that way.
I'm a lifelong advocate for transparency, accessibility, accountability, things like that. I think we need to make it very easy for people to know what's going on to the extent that they want to know. When I was first elected to a city council position in my community, there was a history of concerns about transparency and backroom transactions that people weren't happy about. And so I promised and pledged and made good on the promise, as I always do, to have video streaming available of every meeting. We have minutes, but having the video was wonderful for a few people. Not a lot used it, you know, and I was told by several people it's not worth having the technology installed. We ended up getting citizen volunteers to bring in cameras and make that happen, but I was told it's not worth it. 10 people will watch it. And I said, for the sake of the 10, I'm willing to do it. For the sake of the 1, I would be willing to do it. One thing I love about Republicans is we want to see the sausage made sometimes. We want to know exactly what happened in that room, and so I have been an advocate for that.
All right, the next question is, what are some ideas for improving the caucus system? You may have answered that a lot, so if you feel that you want to spend more time on that.
We'll take another one.
Okay. I'm sick and tired of lip service. Give me an action plan. When will, or what will happen if you are elected?
I think it's a great question, and the rhetoric, quite frankly, between all 8 candidates you're going to see is going to be very, very similar throughout the convention process. But the records speak volumes, the past performance is huge, and the specifics are invaluable. The tragedy is we don't have time in a minute to get into a lot of depth, but I've talked a little bit about that 17-point plan that has very specific things like improved communication, better training, videos. I want to help every delegate have access to information about parliamentary procedure, for example. I had some great questions about that tonight, or this morning and last night, and throughout this process. I want to make videos available that explain not just why Republicanism is so fantastic and why conservative principles will win the day and save our nation, but I also want to have videos about here's what you can expect at your caucus, and here are some things that have worked well. So we'll do training, we'll do communication, we'll improve the website, we'll have resources and access for legislators, all the things that you're seeing in some of these plans in other counties, I've been adapting for Utah County.
I think I've mentioned some of my more specific points. Number one is appointing a technology committee to figure out how we're going to get technology to work at caucus next winter. I laid that out in detail. Number two, I talked about mail-it-in Saturday, the day we're going to get our volunteers into the districts and precincts that matter to get the votes out. That's number two. Number three, taking our message. You know, we're going to figure out ways, we're going to recruit the right people to take our message to younger people. I think, like I mentioned, I think the tech community is one option. I think there are other options. One other thing, one other specific plan I would have is I would make every ledge chair responsible 6 weeks from caucus night to call every precinct chair and tell them, hey, every precinct chair is responsible for getting whoever was at caucus lat 2 years ago out this time. And every delegate is responsible for getting 5 new people out. And I want those names before we go to caucus. Those are some very specific points that we need to accomplish.
All right, thank you. Actually, on the questions I have here, looking at this at the rating, all of them are at 0. And I want to go back to that third poll question that I can't find for some reason, and I don't know where it's at. Where is that? Because it's not showing on my device. I can't see these questions. Does anyone? It's up here behind me, but it gives me an opportunity here to, there it is. I had to log out and log back in. Okay. We want to give the delegate, the 2 candidates an opportunity to give a 2-minute summary at the end here in just a couple of minutes. And there's quite a few questions in here. I haven't looked at these. I need Heidi and Anna to take 2 seconds to see which one of those is worth answering, to give you some information as far as feedback from the party currently. But I'd prefer, do you have any of those? Just make a choice or a pick.
Fundraising.
Which one?
Fundraising.
Fundraising. Besides the, I'm not sure of the name there. Besides the Lincoln Day dinner, how are we going to raise real money? $400 is toilet paper when it comes to campaign support versus cost. I'm not sure how to follow that question there, but let's just talk about, fundraising.
And I think it's my turn.
Ben
to start.
Stanley, are you here?
Ben Stanley is here in the room.
Ben Stanley's right here. Ben Summerhalder, sorry.
Oh.
Ben, stand up, please. I'd like to give Ben Stanley a round of applause. 3 years ago, under Craig Frank's chairmanship, we decided when I was treasurer and as leadership to create a program where you can donate monthly to the party as much as you'd like. Ben has been donating every month for over 3 years. Thank you, Ben Summerhalder. And so, as you go into new leadership, because I'm not going to rehash things how they went in the past, but how many of you are aware you could do that every month and donate to the party? Just a few of you. Well, I know how many are actually doing it, so step it up. And so there's different ways to raise for the party. We get a lot of fundraising at caucus night. That's where we get our biggest major donations. 2 years ago, during the presidential campaign caucus that we had $43,000 donated to our county. That's substantial. That's very good. Lincoln Day dinner usually raises us money, but we're finding right now, under the environment of the party that we're in and these challenges, until the party kind of refocuses back on the platform and focuses on the party principles and pushing Republicans and growing Republicans. Many of you probably aren't aware how much we've been working with the college Republicans and teen Republicans in the county, in Utah County. And the county, the outgoing county college Republican chairman of the state said that Utah County had done the best in the state in doing what we need to be doing and helping and supporting those college Republicans. So the county is doing a great job. We've also been having students come to our executive committee meeting every month from UVU to observe the Republican Party, and they're doing a civics type class. And then, and so those 3 methods are the caucus night, monthly donations, and Lincoln Day dinner is the 3 main places that we generate our funds right now for the party in the county. And then we do it in these meetings when we have our quarterly meetings and our conventions to donate at the convention. And most of you probably already see that we've actually asked you, if you've seen the website, that we're asking for a donation at the convention, and so next week, so that helps to fund the party. So the grassroots really funds the party right now, because quite frankly, businesses aren't donating to the party till the party settles down and starts refocusing back on just being a Republican Party. And so we've struggled really hard this year in the last couple of years trying to gain money at Lincoln Day dinner. And so it was really difficult as far as business donations. elections. And so we've done good at that. We encourage the new leadership as they come in to continue to stimulate things like what Ben Summerholder has been doing and donating on a monthly basis as a loyal contributor to the party. And you can do other things, as we've mentioned, and add additional creativity. All right. We'll end with that one and go to these guys. We're going to give them 2 minutes to just kind of give summary statement of however you'd like, and we'll just rotate that twice.
Well, and just to speak really briefly on the fundraising topic, I think what just happened was wonderful and is important. You know, not only does Ben have a fantastic first name, but being recognized is just a great thing. I'm a Paul Harris Fellow with the Rotary Club, and there's a Paul Harris Society. There are ways to recognize through legislative district dashboards and other tools that can help us see what's available and see what people have done and celebrate each other's successes and contributions. And I think that's huge on the fundraising front. So as I summate everything that we've talked about today, I ask for your vote. Again, I'm Ben Stanley running for chair. One of the things that I'm humbled by and proud of at the same time, deeply humbling though, is to have the endorsement and support of so many great leaders of our Republican Party. Every past chair of recent years has endorsed my campaign for chair of the Republican Party. Folks like Craig Frank and Casey Vokes and David Atchison, whether you agree with all of them or a few of them or like some things about them and dislike things about others, they all agree that we need somebody with the leadership experience, with the vision, with the background, with the involvement over many years to help move our party in a healthy direction. We're going to roll this clock over for another minute. This is a 2-minute. And so the willingness to come out in vocal support of solutions and data-driven approaches that can help us have the kind of successes we want to see in the party is a tremendous tribute and something I'm very grateful for. If you're confused by what seems like matching rhetoric and you don't know what will move the party forward in the right direction, look to the leadership of the past and the innovative vision for the future, the kinds of solutions that will make a difference to elevate life in Utah, elevate life in our Republican Party. We're going to improve the way the party functions. Caucuses are going to be smooth and streamlined. Conventions are going to be a time when we can come together and celebrate and have an enjoyable time growing together as Republicans, discovering the very best arguments as we interact in a more civil and more cooperative way. I'm excited for the future. I hope you have that same vision. I hope you have the excitement, and I hope you're willing to help me, because we've got to carry that message to Republicans that are registered around our neighborhoods, and we need the support of everyone to make this the success it can be. Thank you. My name again is Ben Stanley. I am candidate for Utah County Party Chair.
It's a new day. It's time to move forward. We live in a new electoral world in the state of Utah, and it's time to prepare for it. That's why I'm running. That's why people called me and asked me to run. I have dealt in high-stress situations, in tough times. I've looked for the fight. Last night I was asked multiple times at the event in Payson, why am I doing this? I said, as a kid, I loved to play quarterback and catcher. As an adult, I practice law and run intelligence operations. These are the types of challenges I've looked through throughout my life, and that's why I want to do this. The reason you should vote for me as Utah County Party Chair is I can move us forward. I'm not weighed down by the weights of the past. I'm not part of the divides over SB 54. I've campaigned as a candidate. I understand what's there. I've talked to almost every county and House of Representatives and Utah Senator in our county since I started this process. I asked them what they needed. One of the questions was one of the ones that was brought up there about fundraising. Why can't we fundraise? Why won't business give money? They used to. We need to take our message back to these people, to our community and business leaders, and explain to them the Utah County Republican Party is refocused on its principles of small and limited government, its principles of low taxation, its principles to support entrepreneurs and economic growth, its principles to support the ideals that made this nation great. If we do anything besides that, if we fight amongst ourselves about whether or not this candidate is right or that candidate is right, we're wasting our time. We have a primary election, the winner goes forward. We all pick up the flag and follow them. Sometimes you don't get the leaders you want. Sometimes you might not get the candidate in your party you want. But the reality is, and I'll go back to it, freedom is only one generation from extinction. And if you're not willing to get in the fight, then get out. And if we're not willing to take that message to our people to raise money, to invigorate our voters, then there's no reason to have these meetings, and that's why I'd ask you to vote for me. Thank you.
We'd like to thank these two candidates for taking an hour of questions and your time for being here today. I counted about 100 of you here in the room today. We know we have a party of about 14 at the last count of credentialing for the next Saturday, and 100 of you were here today. And so, again, there's some improvement that we need to do, and it starts down at your level and at the precinct level. And so let's see what we can do to get delegates here next week. It's important that for the caucus system to actually work, we need the people to actually do the job that they said to their neighbors they would do. I was voted in by 430 people, and that was about 54% when I was voted in 2 years ago. Do the math, that's less than 900 people attending the meeting of 1,500 people at that time. We need your attendance and we need you to be here. Please go spread the word and see what you can do to get others to come out and participate and let their voice be counted. Whether you keep my voice or count my vote, it doesn't matter. Both of them work when you come, and they don't work when you don't show up. And so we need you to come and do all that you can to get others out, vetting these candidates, talking to them, giving them phone calls, and getting the feedback. Some of these might be doing some other things this next week. I've heard of a couple other meet and greets that are being put on throughout the county on district and precinct levels, and so we encourage you to be involved. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming today.